Harihi Om. Sanno mitrasyam varunaha, shanno bhavatvaryama, shanna indro brihaspatihi, shanno vishnururukramaha, namo brahmane, namaste vayo, tvameva pratyaksham brahmasi, tvameva pratyaksham brahma vadishyami, rutam vadishyami, satyam vadishyami, tanmam avatu, tadvaktaram avatu, avatu mam, avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sanatana Dharma, the journey continues. Veda ad Oupnek'hat iter. Veda ad Oupnek'hat iter. Vedas to Upanishad, a journey. That was Latin. So, Sanskrit or Latin are both religious languages, and the journey continues. We were in Sapta Sindhu region, Parushniya, Suditra, Parushniya, Saraswati, Sudutrita, and so on and so forth. The rivers flourished. Asikni, Parushniya, Sindhu, Saraswati, that fertile land of Cambodia and Gandhara, which was the root for Rigveda. So, Kakshivan and rishis like Kakshivan and others were patronized by chieftains and kings like Bhavya Sunayana. And all those kings' patronage, they were patronizing learned people, and that civilization flourished. Women had the ancestral property from fathers, women were educated. Then slowly the civilization flourished from wearing skin to woven cloths, particularly silk and wool. Cotton was not known then. Then as the civilization flourished and moved eastward towards Ganges, Yamuna, Saraswati in the Prayagraj area, other form of expressions such as rich, that is eulogizing the deities came, and subsequently people started doing lot of rituals and Vedas started flourishing, and the rishis were able to see those mantras and they collectively put together as samhitas. And on the Ganges and Yamuna plains, in addition to Rigveda, Taitiriya Yajurveda or Shukla Yajurveda all flourished. So Ganges and Yamuna regions, we have seen in Aranyaka that there is a mention of Ganges and Yamuna, and then the people migrated towards east, and then the entire portion along the belt of Ganges from Sindhu in Cambodia, Gandhara, Kuru, then came Panchala, then came Kashi, then Magadha and Videha. So that was the plain in northern India. Down south is Vidarbha. A mention of Vidarbha comes in Bhagavata where Rukmini belongs to. Rukmini belongs to Vidarbha region. So those places where civilization well flourished, so people started to practice ritual. Then people felt rituals alone is not enough. Dharme Vedam Kalau Ati Sukam. In the Kali, we are into Kali Yuga. So Dharma, Veda and the doctrines of Dharma preached in Veda became an important part of living. Dharme Vedam Kalau Ati Sukam. So it became that Vedas became a source. They were the base for living. Vedas were the base to do daily rituals. Vedas were the base to do monthly rituals. Vedas were the base to do rituals for wantings. Ishtakamyartham, for something like children, progeny, wealth. And what was that yajna they did for a lot of wealth and water? Vajapeyam. So Vajapayam gets referred in the Prathama Kanda of Yajurveda itself. So Yajurveda was predominantly for rituals, which we know because in the Prathama Kanda itself it starts with Darshapurna Ishti, then came Agnishtoma, Atyagnishtoma, and all the way up to Rajasuya. Everything is covered in the Prathama Prapataka or Prathama Prashna of the Prathama Kanda, Prathama Prashna to Attama Prashna. 1 to 8 chapters in the Prathama Kanda itself, first canto itself, all these yajnas were described. So people were doing lot of yajnas like this. Then came an awakening. Why should we keep on doing the yajnas? We got to know who am I. We got to know what is the supreme. Dharme Vedam Kalau Ati Sukam. So Vedas then developed, evolved. So people started going to quiet place. So the Vedas came, Samhitas, the anthology of collection of mantras in rituals were the first thing. Then people wanted to know where these mantras to be used. People wanted to know how to perform the rituals, so that elaboratory text also came into being. Then in some Vedas, the elaboratory texts were mixed with the anthology. In Krishna Yajurveda, that is the reason Yajurveda, one shaka or one division of Yajurveda is known as Krishna Yajurveda, which is predominantly practiced now in South India. There is no distinction between the Samhita, the anthology of mantras, and the explanatory text. Mostly they are intermingled. Hence it is known as Black Yajurveda. Whereas in Shukla Yajurveda, there is a clear demarcation of the mantras and the Brahmana Bhaga. Brahmana are explanatory text, Shukla Yajurveda. So Shukla Yajurveda flourished in northern India. Today Shukla Yajurveda is predominantly practiced above Vidarbha, whereas Krishna Yajurveda is predominantly practiced in Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri, Tamraparni and all Kerala regions. And Samaveda is predominantly in Gujarat and West Bengal. And Atharva Veda is in Orissa, and it used to be in Punjab as well, because that region between Punjab and the Ganges Yamuna region, Ganges and Yamuna and Punjab, that region, Atharva Veda started, Paipalada. There is a division called Paipalada Shaka. So that Atharva Veda flourished there, but Atharva Veda is minimum these days. Okay, so Rig Veda flourished. That was the first composition done. And so we are talking about the time frame of 2000 years. We are not here pinpointing when these Vedas came. That is not possible to my knowledge, and it's not a wanted exercise as well. But the evolution of Vedas, we are not saying when Rig Veda came into being or Yajurveda came into being. That is not our intent. But we want to see how the civilization progressed, and that took nearly 2 millennia, 2000 years, 1500 years to 2000 years from Rig Veda. Then people settled and flourished through the entire Ganges belt from Cambodia. Cambodia is in the northwest frontier. Cambodia, not Cambodia. Cambodia, then Gandhara, then came Kuru, Panchala, Koshala, Kashi, Magadha, Videha. That means we are going into Videha Rajya is into Upper Bihar and Nepal. That's where Ma Janaki comes from. Sita's parental place is Videha, Janakpuri. Janakpuri is now located in Nepal. So we are covering the civilization flourished all the way from Afghanistan, northwest frontier of Afghanistan, Gandhara, and beyond Gandhara is Cambodia. So Cambodia, Gandhara, Kuru, Panchala, Koshala, what else? Kuru, Panchala, Kashi, Koshala, and Magadha, and then Videha. So now Yajurveda started flourishing in Videha and Magadha. How do we say that? Because Yajnavalkya is a greater proponent of Yajurveda. Okay, Yajnavalkya is a greater, Vaisampayana is a propagator of Krishna Yajurveda, and Yajnavalkya is a propagator of Shukla Yajurveda. So Yajurveda was propagated by this rishi called Yajnavalkya. Yajnavalkya was the preceptor of Janakaraj or the kings of Magadha. So if you connect that way, So the Yajurved belt was basically towards eastern direction. So Yajurved, then Samaved is nothing but Rigved. Okay, Samaved is Rigved set in tune. So Rigved and Yajurved, the amalgamation of Rigved and Yajurved is Atharvaved. So Rigved from Bhavya Sunayana all the way to Magadha and later kings, the Vedas flourished, evolved from being ritualistic to being contemplative. So, strictly speaking, Vedas are Trayi. Okay. But we call 4 Vedas, but in strict sense, it is Rig. Rig means rich, to pray. To pray. Rich mane, to pray. Then Yajur. Yajur means for Yajna. And Sama is the meter. So, okay, there are only 3 Veda. And then an amalgamation of Rig and Yajurveda done by one of the early preceptors of Vyasa called Atharvangirasa. Hence the name Atharva Veda. Okay. And then, so then what happened? People started contemplating. Okay, is rituals alone enough? What's the purpose of ritual? To attain something. But we need to know the better thing than just simply doing rituals. So people went into isolation. So like Vedas are 3, Vedas evolved into 3 greater portions. One is the collection of mantras known as anthology of mantras or Samhita. Then explanatory text of these Samhita and then utility of the Samhita. Okay, it explains what these mantras are and it explains where these have to be used. So that is known as Brahmana Bhag. Okay, then people started contemplating. Okay, what am I? Who am I? Where should I go? How should I go? All those things. So they went into an isolation spot. So in those days, isolation spots were predominantly beyond the river regions. That's why when Rama crosses Ganges, he goes into Dandakaranya. So they moved into Aranya. They moved into forest. And those thoughts that evolved, which rishis saw based on discussions and contemplation, were grouped in Aranyaka Bhag, known as Aranyaka. Aranyakam, either way. Okay, so Samhita, Brahmana and Aranyakam. When it comes to Aranyakam, the rishis wanted to see good things. The rishis wanted to hear good things. The rishis wanted to refine their way of living. So the first chapter of Aranyakam of Yajurved begins with this famous mantra, Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama Deva. So what was the Pratyaksha Devata? Agni or Surya. So this mantra, the first chapter started invoking Surya Devata. Hence it is known as Aruna Prashna. Prashna means chapter. Prapataka means chapter. Both are same. So the first chapter of Aranyaka Bhaga, where people went into isolation and started contemplating, is known as Aranyakam. And the first paragraph of Aranyakam invokes the blessing of the Supreme, which they saw in Surya Devata to be Bhadram Karne Bhipshrunuyama Deva. Hey Deva, plural. Let us hear good things. Bhadram mane good things, auspiciousness. Let us hear auspicious things, good things through our ears. Bhadram Karne Bhi Shrunuyama, plural. Deva Bhadram Pasye Makshabir Yajatra. Let me see always good things through our eyes. Sthirairangai istushtuva gumsastanubihi. May your effulgence and the better way of living give us good health. Sthirairangai, fitness. Okay, that is literal meaning, but it asks the Pratyaksha Devata to grant them good senses, good bodily parts, so that they can live well. Sthirairangai istushtuva gumsastanubihi vyashema deva hitam yadayu. Let us live. Vyashama means to expand. Let us use the life given by the God for good thing. Vyashema deva hitam yadayu. Hitam yadayu. Let us do good things for the granted life. Swasti. Then they pray, Hey Indra, Hey Vriddhasrava. Indra is known to be a great listener. That's the important thing. Listening is more important than talking. So Indra is known to be a great listener. Vriddhasrava is Indra. And then in that chapter itself, They then slowly refine their way. There they come and they talk about how to live, how to use the river, how to use the water. So river was the basis of living, so they did not want to contaminate the river. So they say, na apsumutram kuryat. See, although this text is to invoke the Surya Devata, praise him, but Vedas are not simply praising. Vedas are not ritualistic. Vedas, the underpinning theme of Veda is to give us good way of living. So they say, while we are living and invoking you Devatas for a good living, let us make sure that we preserve this environment in a pristine way. And they see the water flowing in Ganges and Yamuna and Gomti, Sarayu, and Tons, Tamasa, all the rivers. That's a very fertile region, all the way from Sindhu to Brahmaputra. Okay, it's a river. It's full of rivers, unlike southern India, which is devoid of so many rivers like North India. So they just thought, okay, we have to keep this water clean. Napsumutram kurya. Then they say, while they are saying, they are telling to others. When these elders were praying, they were telling to the other people, common layman, that let's make this environment pristine. And then towards the end they say, we have lived our lives, we are going to live our lives, we will be living our lives, but this life needs some money. So that chapter ends. Rajadirajaya prasahya sahine namo vayam vai ishravanaya kurmahe same kaman kama kamaya mahyam kameshwaro vai ishravano dadatu guberaya vai ishravanaya maharajaya namaha. So they take edicts from Veda to live well. Then they say, look, we have lived according to your edicts. Gubera, the Lord of wealth, we invoke you now so that you grant us and our progeny sustained life which needs vitta. Rajadirajaya prasakhya sahine. Gubera is known as Rajadiraja. Indra is known as Rajadiraja. Varuna is known as Raja. So they invoke, asking money to live well. Or dhanadhanyam dhanam pashum bahuputra labam shatasam vatsaram dhirgamayuhu dhanam cereals, dhanam wealth, pashu cow and goat and other things, bahuputra lot of children. So the family asmat kula vardhatam, let this family go. The civilization, this takes 2000 years. Then Vedas add Oupnek'hat, iter. So then they came to, now they are settled. They have started contemplating. The gods are happy. Environment is happy. Rain falls 3 times a month. Every 9 days is sunshine. 1 day is rain. Then 9 days sunshine. 1 day is rain. Then 9 days sunshine. 1 day is rain. So everything was going on smoothly. Then people had time to think too much upon thoughts beyond the common day-to-day living, beyond the common wants. So they went to some enlightened souls who are known as rishis, who are known as preceptors. Then they went to them and then he said, hey rishi, hey guru, a teacher, a preceptor, I want to know more. Then the teacher started bringing children as a structured way in Patashala or in schools. Started teaching because these people, their parents now know how to live. Because this civilization has been evolving for 1500 to 2000 years. So then the basic wants have been taken care. So the children started going into structured schools or structures Patashala where they were in a position to gather knowledge. So they went, Upanishad came. So that discussions or that class lessons between a preceptor and a set of students in a structured way, maybe 7 years or 12 years, 7 to 12 years, The children went to gurus, gurukulas or schools. In a structured way, the teacher started teaching them. So how did they do that? The way the children went to the gurus, the way the children learned from the gurus, all those were scribed. Scribed in brain, not written. They scribed the structured lessons in their brain. And that, how did they do? They went to the tutor's place, stayed there for 7 to 12 years permanently. Don't ask if they had any vacation. Perhaps they would have had. Okay. But they had vacation within the Gurukula. Like we have 4 Sundays and 4 Saturdays, 8 days. In those days, Navami, Amavasa, Paurnami, Pradhamai and Trayodasi. So there will be 1 Amavasa, 1 Paurnami, 2 Pradhama, 2 Ashtami and 2 Chaturdasi. Roughly 8 days like we have. The same system is there. Instead of Saturday and Sunday, they had break on Chaturdasi, Amavasa, Chaturdasi, Paurnami, Paurnami Pradhama, Amavasa Pradhama and Ashtami. Shukla Ashtami and then Krishna Ashtami. So 8 days. So they had 8 days holidays, but perhaps the long holidays were not there. So, and then they stayed at the teacher's place, and the teacher's wife took care of these kids as her own children. And though daily the children used to go near the prophet, because there were no microphones, so they had to sit near under a banyan tree or something like that. So the children sat. Young brain, it's like a mushroom, so it absorbs information quickly. So they went near the guru, sat underneath the guru and learnt. So this is how this, so basically the Upanishad name video captures how these students and teachers were engaging on a day-to-day basis. Upanishad. The word Upanishad is made of 3 parts. Upa means samipe, near. Ni means under. Shad means sit. So the children went Upa samipe. Both Upa and Ni are known as Upasargas or addition. And the root is Shad. Shad means to sit. Sit. So they sat near but under, so that the children were obedient to the master. Upa, Ni, Shad. Upa and Ni are known as Upasarga, and Shad is the verb. Shat, Shada. Shada is verb. Shada mane Upa Visha, sit. So Upa, Ni, Shad. Shad means sit. They sat underneath the preceptor in an obedient way, close to him. So they not only became physically close, they also became emotionally close with the receptor. It's like Guru. Guru is like a father. For 12 to 15 years, the Guru and Guru Patnis were their father and mother. Upa plus Ni plus Shad is equal to Upanishad. So then we take Upanishad means only learning about Brahmam. Of course, nobody denies that. Understanding the Brahmam is the purpose of Upanishad, but Upanishad doesn't alone limit only to the understanding of Brahmam. Upanishad basically tells, a tutor gives the knowledge to the children, to the students. That is the meaning of Upanishad. And the most important knowledge is about Brahmam. That you need to understand. If you go to spiritual schools and Vedanta masters, of course, they have to do, because time is short. Even for us in one class, I have to finish all the way from Vedas to Upanishad, because covering Upanishad is separately Vedanta. That you people, a lot of preceptors doing it. Much more qualified and much more knowledgeable than Das. So, we are not here to go and look very closely or in an elaborate form of Vedanta. That there are a lot of tutors. Of course, many in the class would have mastered Vedanta. Nobody can master, but at least gotten a lot of knowledge on it. But what is the purpose of Upanishad? Of course, to understand Brahmam, the Supreme. Of course, that's where we have to go. Because we believe the material cause is superior to Brahmam. Okay. And then to understand him, we need to know who we are. That's fine. But to get to that level, we have to have a good way of living. So, first and foremost, the tutor teaches how to live. So, this Upanishad is a vast portion. So, technically speaking, Vedas have only three portions. Samhita, Brahmana and Aranyaka. And the last sections of Aranyakas are solely dedicated to understanding Brahmam, solely dedicated to describe the interaction between the preceptor and the student, so they are called as Upanishad. But in strict sense, these belong to Aranyakas. Just for our understanding, we are separating these sections as Upanishad, but in strict sense, these belong to Aranyakas. For example, among those famous primary Upanishads, principal Upanishad, one is known as Ishavasyopanishad. Ishavasyopanishad is in Shukla Yajurveda. But technically speaking, Ishavasyopanishad is part of Shukla Samhita, Vajasaniya Samhita itself. It's mixed in this anthology portion itself. So, it's very difficult to distinguish. But let's take that in more or less Upanishads are the portions of Aranyaka because it's contemplation. So, Upanishads are vast. Assume that each Veda will have Aranyaka. And assume that each Veda there is a portion in Aranyaka called Upanishad. So, assuming that there is at least one Upanishad per Veda. So, how many Vedas are there, including the branches? We learnt it. How many branches of Veda are there? How many branches of Veda are there? You got to know. 1131. Rigveda has 21 branch. Yajurveda has 101 branch. Samaveda has 1000 branch. Atharva Veda has 9 branch. 1000 plus 100 plus 21 plus 9 is 1131. So, assuming that 1131 Vedas have one Upanishad, the Upanishads should be very minimal 1131 or roughly above 1000. Okay, it's a pity. Today we only have text, or today we only have documentation and explanation for 112 Upanishads. 1008, I'm just saying 1008 because that's an auspicious number. It should be more than that. So 1008 deduced to 112 documented. In that 112, there are roughly 12 to 14 which are elaborated and discussed and lectured upon. And among that there are 10 principal Upanishad texts because Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada, the Shankaracharya of Kaladi, elaborated the 10 Upanishads. He picked 10 Upanishads representing all 4 Vedas, and he was the first one to elaborate Upanishads of all 4 Vedas. 10 Upanishads he elaborated, and people took these 10 Upanishads to be principal Upanishads. Isha, Kena, Kata, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitareya, Chandokya, Brihadaranyaka, and Prashna, Brihadaranyaka, Isha, Kata, Aitareya, Taitiriya. Isha, Kena, Kata, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitareya, Taitiriya, Chandokya, Brihadaranyaka. So, Kata Upanishad is small. Brihadaranyakam and Chandokyam are big. Brihadaranyakam, as the name says, Brihat means big. The contemplatory text which is elaborate is known as Brihati plus Aranyakam is equal to Brihadaranyakam. All this you have to know. At least know. Isha, Kena, Kata, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Taitiriya, Aitareya, Chandokya, Brihadaranyakam. This represents all 4 Vedas. Isha, Aitareya Upanishad belongs to Rigveda. Shukla Yajurveda has 2 Upanishads in the principal Upanishad, Isha and Brihadaranyaka. Krishna Yajurveda has Kathopanishad and Taitiriya Upanishad. Samaveda as Kenopanishad and Chandogyopanishad. Atharva Veda as Prashna Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, and then two more Upanishads. Kaushiki Upanishad. Kaushiki Upanishad belongs to Rigved, but Swami Ramanuja took Svetasvataro Upanishad as well as into account. So, 12 to 14 Upanishads are predominantly lectured and practiced. Of all these Upanishads, 12 to 14 which are predominantly practiced and memorized, Taitiriya Upanishad is more pronounced and it has the intonation. So Taitiriya Upanishad is the only Upanishad today that is recited with swaras. Others are not. It's gone. Okay. And Taitiriya Shaka of Yajurved, although it originated in the Ganges belt in Kashi and Kaushala Desh, it's not prevalent in northern India now. Only Shukla Yajurved is prevalent in Ayodhya, Gokarn and Gujarat, Rajasthan. All now Shukla Yajurved, Kashi Shukla Yajurved. Okay, Taitiriya Upanishad is below Vidarbha, below Vindhya mountains, particularly Krishna Godavari belt, Kaveri belt, Tamrabarani belt. The Taitiriya Yajurved is the living breath below Vindhya, particularly in Krishna Godavari, Rajamahendrapuram, Rajamandri. Lot of schools for Veda. Different Vikriti Pata. We are not going into that. That's a separate semester. So, Taitiriya Yajurved, although it evolved, but it is now flourishing in South India. Anyway, time evolved. How do we know Taitiriya Yajurved flourished in northern India? Ramayana gives reference. Valmiki Ramayana gives reference. When Rama was about to leave for the forest, Kausalya Ma, the mother of Sri Ram, donated gifts to lot of Brahmins, lot of poor people, lot of servants. And Valmiki says, Ma Kausalya have a special affection towards the Brahmins who recite Taitiriya Yajurved. So, she patronized all Vedas. But she was more fond of patronizing because that is her own Veda. So Rama's Veda should have been Taitiriya Yajurved. This reference comes in the Ayodhya Kanda of Valmiki Ramayana. And not only Taitiriya Yajurveda, Kapishthala Kata Shaka. Kapishthala Kata, Maitrayani, Taitiriya. There are 4 branches of Yajurveda still practiced. Right? So, Taitiriya Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda as Kata Upanishad and Taitiriya Upanishad. Taitiriya Upanishad is well prevailed, well practiced with notations, with swara, suswara. Others are not. Even Chandogya, we don't see people practice Chandogya with swara. Okay. So, that Taitiriya Upanishad is a clear example. What our understanding Upanishad means, it has to only talk about God. Of course, it will talk about God, no doubt. But to show that Upanishads are not simply talking about Brahmam, Upanishads are not talking simply about Brahmam, it gives clear picture of what this Upanishad is all about. So that Upanishad, Taitiriya Upanishad of the black Yajurveda is basically a commencement speech of the preceptor. So 12 to 15 years the students have learnt Veda. So then he does what is called as graduation. That graduation ceremony in Sanskrit is known as Samavartan. It's what happened today at Harvard. Okay, it's graduation. So you bring somebody to speak. So one learned person, maybe from the same school or different school, maybe one from, assuming that Yajnavalkya invited somebody from Koshala Desha. So Yajnavalkya perhaps should have invited somebody from the Gautama's progeny, or Gautama, because they all lived in Koshala Desha, or Vasishta's progeny. Okay, so he invites, or the progeny of Yajnavalkya invites the progeny of Vasishta. Because Vasishta is in Koshala Desha, Videha Desha is towards northeast of Koshala Desha. Okay, so this gentleman goes to deliver convocation address or commencement address, and that is what is there in Taitiriya Upanishad. So the Taitiriya Upanishad is basically a convocation address. In British style, convocation means graduation. Okay, but in America it's a different. So assume that it is a commencement address given by one particular learned preceptor to a group of students who have finished their studies and they are about to go to their next phase of life. So that finishing of studies and moving to the next phase of life is known as Samavartan or graduation. So during the graduation ceremony, a learned preceptor gives what these children should do when they are going into the real world out there. What they have to do. First and foremost, you need to be very refined in speaking. You should know how to speak. Now so far you have only mixed with 3,000 students, 6,000 students. One may have come from Cambodia, one have come from Gandhara, one have come from Kuru. One have come from Anga Desha. When you talk about Anga Desha, who comes to mind? Karna in Mahabharata. So Karna, the eldest son of Kunti, but he was patronized by Duryodhana. And Duryodhana made Anga to be the king, Karna to be the king of Anga Desha. Anga Desha is towards southeast of Magadha. Today's Patna is Magadha. And little bit we can say, what is that? You can say Jamshedpur, Chhattisgarh, all those to be Anga Desh. I'm saying more or less topographically. So they might have come. They are going back to Anga, they are going back to Cambodia, they are going back to Gandhara. They are going to Takshasil. Takshasil is in Gandhara. Okay. Kaikeya Rajya, there. So they are all going back. Before these people leave the Gurukula in Magadha, in Pataliputra, Patna. That was a very flourishing. Patna is on the bank of Ganges. I do not know how many people have seen. Patna is just on the bank of Ganges. Pataliputra. That was the capital of Gupta, Mauryas. Okay, the golden age of Sanatana Dharma, Gupta period. Okay, so the says, oh, you need to first learn how to behave in the society. Watch your words. Sikshambya akyasyamaha. I'm telling you how to use your siksha, what you have learned. Sikshambya akyasyamaha. I'm going to elaborate the purpose of what you have learned. See how the it's not just rote learning. They think, okay, Taitiriya Upanishad, I just learned. First and foremost, you have learned a lot about Vedas. 7 kandas you have learned. 10,000 mantras you have learned. 10,000 mantras, 1,000 hymns, suktas you have learned. But be refined in the way you speak. Madhuvatartayate madhuksharanti sindhava madhvir gavo bhavantuna. Everything is based on sweetness. Okay, so Sikshambhyakyasya. What I said, Taitiriya Upanishad has swara, has intonation. So that's how I am reciting. It becomes easy to memorize. That's a different story. Varna swaraha matra balam Know how to speak. Don't raise your voice. Matra bhalam samasandhanaha. Just be guarding your speech. Then it tells, okay, now you have done this. Now you need to know what you have learned. What is the structure of learning? The learning begins with a guru. You are the receiver of that knowledge. And what is the connection between the guru, preceptor, and the student? Knowledge. What's the outcome of the knowledge? You should go out to the world and teach the people. Vidya Sandhi. Sandhi means connection. What is the connection between the teacher and the student? Not money. Knowledge. Pravachanagum Sandhanam. What is the output? Pravachanagum. Go teach. What you should teach. The knowledge that we have taught you, in those days we call them, today also we call it as a Veda. Those days it was only Vedic learning. Okay? And Angas also they taught. So Rik, Yaju, Sama, you have learnt all that. Go teach. So first chapter of the Taitiriya Upanishad is basically a lecture given by a learned preceptor to the graduating class. So we have come. So the Rig Veda to this level, 2 millennia. On this much land, vast fertile land, civilization flourished. Now their structure, the book, the text, the gospel is established. So you don't have to worry, where do I get the knowledge? Knowledge is already there. From Rig Veda, set in tune Samaved, became ritualistic Yajurved, then each Vedas now got those contemporary portions known as Upanishad, so the basic knowledge is established. Now grasp that knowledge, 7 to 12 years, then what should be the outcome of that knowledge? Pravachanagum Sandhanam Vidya Sandhihi. Then develop family, progeny. Dharma prajartam imam kanyam vrinimahe, just for propagating dharma. I am marrying, spreading this family. Mata is first, then Pita. What is the output? The output is prajananagum sandhanam. Then keep on flourishing and growing the family, because the civilization has to grow. So the teacher tells, Mata is important. And listen to your father. Father has to take care of the family. You are the outcome of it. Matrudevo bhava. First and foremost, mother is most important. This comes in the Taitiriya Upanishad. Towards the end. Matrudevo bhava. Then respect your mother first and foremost. Ram does that. He didn't walk away from mother immediately. He says, Mother, it is my duty to take care of you, but as a mother, as a wife, you need to take care of the father and the extended family. My duty is to take care of you. I cannot go away from your instruction. But what is your duty? Your duty is to take care of this old man and the entire family. Because he is going away in his senses. Okay, 60,000-year-old man. So you are the pillar now. If you are coming with me, who will take care of this Kosala Rajya? So please, that is the duty prescribed for you. So would you listen to me? And then mother says, yes, beta, yes, Ram, I understand. So you go. So the mother also blesses Ram to go. Otherwise Ram would not have gone. So, Matrudevo bhava, first and foremost, mother is important. Ram himself says, beautiful. So what does this see? It's not Brahma. I am Atma, Brahma, Prajnanam, Brahma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. These are the famous saying. So if you go to your Upanishad class, they teach. That's different Vedanta. That is important. But what does the Upanishad, Taitiriya Upanishad begins? It doesn't talk about Brahmam. First chapter doesn't talk about Brahmam. The second chapter called Brahmanandavalli talks about Brahmam. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It comes only in the second chapter. First chapter is what you should do with your knowledge. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That comes second chapter. But first chapter, now you learnt the knowledge, keep the knowledge, propagate the knowledge for the well-being of the society. But first and foremost, you need to be respectful of your parents, particularly your mother. Matrudevo bhava, pitrudevo bhava. Then all the learned people, Acharya Devo Bhava, not only learned people, the society, Atiti. Atiti literally means guest. But in a way, your neighbor is your guest. He's not your blood relative, he is a guest. So Atiti Devo Bhava. Whatever they say, do. Whatever they say, don't do, provided they live righteously. It is understood that those people would have gotten the same lesson from their preceptors and elders, and the society was such that they believed in truth. They believed in righteousness. Satyam Vada. Then Veda says, after you respect, always speak the truth. Satyam Vada. That is Dharma. Dharmanchara. Then it says, the society rests on truth. That is how you should learn Veda. Of course, you should know Brahmam. That's a different Vedanta class separately. But the Vedas are not structured like that. What would you know? I know Brahma, I know God, I am a realized man. If you are not living well and you are not a model to others, I am not. And I don't call myself as an enlightened person. That's a full disclosure. I am a learner. But if you learn, the chapter in Taitiriya Upanishad begins only like this. Satyam Vada, Dharmanchara, Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Then be benevolent. Don't think that you are in a pedestal because God has given you wealth. You have earned the wealth and giving to somebody. The person who is receiving alms from you don't think that he is weaker than you. Shraddhaya deyam, give wealth, knowledge. Asraddhaya deyam. If you are not interested, don't give. But never give just for show. Shraddhaya deyam, asraddhaya deyam, bhiya deyam. Give it to somebody thinking, will that be enough to satisfy his hunger? Will that be enough to satisfy his knowledge hunger? Bhiya, with fear. Hriya deyam, with shyness you give. It doesn't say, Veda doesn't say, or Upanishad doesn't say that the person receiving alms should be shy. First, you take care of yourself. You be shy. Am I doing the right thing? Am I giving what he needs? Am I giving enough? Bhiya, Hriya, Samvidadeyam. With manners you give. Which text will give you this? So when first and foremost, Vedas tell you to have a refined life. You have to live. Because Veda's purpose is Shatamanam Bhavati Shatayuhu. 100 is what you live. It's one number. That's a long time. You got to live. You have no right to take your life. Period. Kaput. Live. And while you live, your purpose is to protect the society. Yajurved finishes, Rigved finishes. Sangachatvam samvadatvam samvo manamsi janata deva bhagam yata purve sanjnana upasate. See, Vedas says, pray to the Lord who will push you forward. Agnenaya supataraye asman agni agram nayati iti agni. The one, the God who will push you forward always in the righteous path. It begins like that. Agnim ide purohitam yajnasya deva mritvijam hota aram ratna dhatamam. That's the first sloka of Rig Veda. Agnim ide, I pray to that God. It is not simply, although you see it as Agni, Agni mane Agni avamo devata, Agni agram nayati iti Agni. It can be a God. It can be any God. Although here it is specified as the God of fire. Okay. But you can see your God in fire too, which we have seen, because it comes in Rig Veda itself. Ekam sate vipra bahudao vadanti. Connect all. I am connecting the first hymn of Rig Veda to the last hymn. That's how the Rig Veda is structured. 7th canto is full of Vasishta. And 9th canto is Pavamana. 3rd canto is Viswamitra. Everybody structures the way of living. First canto itself, civilization is coming. The Kakshivan, that story is coming in the first canto of Rig Veda. You need to connect. You have been learning, so you got to be astute and connect all this. So you pray the God which will push you forward. You are not praying to a God that is going to push you backward. Agnim ide purohitam, the God who will help me to, the God which foretells. That means the God that will guide me in the direct path. Purohit means purohit, who is going to give the things in a forward-looking way. Agnim ide means to praise, to eulogize. Devam Ritvijam, the God that has this kind of a power. That means that the God that gives you text, which shows the better path of living. Okay, then what is that better path? Live as a society. Sangachatvam, samvadatvam, samvo manamsi janata. So all that 10,000 thing I have covered. Then that what does Upanishad say? Satyam vada dharmanchara matru devo bhava pitru devo bhava acharya devo bhava atiti devo bhava. Then share your knowledge. Shraddhaya deyam asraddhaya deyam biya deyam hriya deyam samvida deyam. Then live, you transfer the knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. Then you tell the students. Then it comes to the syllabus. So it gives the prelude. Okay, how should you be a teacher? Come at 8 o'clock. Each period is 50 minutes. You cannot avoid a single class. If you are not able to come, find a substitute teacher. That's all in the first chapter. Stick to the syllabus. Give the test. Grade them. If you want to grade them in curve, okay, that leniency is there. Take it. All that it finishes. Then it comes to syllabus. Code of practice it gives in the first chapter. Second chapter is actually delving into the subject. Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. Then there's no textbook. This big book, organic chemistry, biochemistry, molecular biology, no books were there. Stanford professor wrote a book which became the standardized textbook for recombinant DNA. Okay, everybody follows. Prior to that, nothing. How do you know? Through some text from Germans. So basically organic chemistry, all the text came from Germans. In the World War II and before, right? They were the leaders. So all those people, so German school, Hochschule, they call that. So likewise, the Takshashila Gurukula would come to this place, people had the memory, so they grasp it. So, yato vacho nivartante. Somebody says, hey Guru, show me the God. Practical. No chemicals were available, just learn theory. So, then they say, yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. Well, then it's no words to explain Brahma. Brahmam. Aprapya manasa saha. Don't worry. Don't worry. Tattvamasi Chandokya. Aham Brahmasmi Brihadaranyakam. Prajnanam Prajnanam Brahma Itareyam. Then, right? So these are the words. Okay, look where the Veda says. Why do you worry? Tattvamasi Chandokyam. There is. So assume that he is inside you. That's where interpretation differs philosophically. Advaita differs from Visishta Advaita and Dvaita. Let's not go into that. So assume that the Paramatma is within you. Tattvam, that thou art. Okay. Then Aham Brahmasmi. I myself is a Brahma. Then Advaitis say that is realization. Whereas Visishta Advaiti says, I am Atma, but that Paramatma is inside, he is the Niyanta. Let's not go there. Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma. This kind of deep understanding is basically Brahmam. See? Okay. Now, then came slowly, iter. Iter means journey. Veda, Oupnek'hat, iter. Then journey, iteration. Iter, it starts from the iteration, comes from the Latin root iter, journey. Then people journeyed. And then Rishis came and Vedavyasa. So Vedavyasa Dvaipayana, his name was Krishna Dvaipayana. He plucked these pearls from different Veda Vakyas and assembled them as aphorism or sutras. And these sutras which talk about that supreme is known as Brahma. We have seen Brahmam, Brahma Sutra. Those aphorisms, short sentences that give some idea about Brahman. But it's not enough. You need to have explanatory text. That's where how you interpret these sutras, these aphorisms, gave birth to different philosophies. Advaitam, Shivadvaitam, Dvaitadvaitam, Visishtadvaitam, Dvaitam, Shikantadvaitam, all those things that came. So you see how knowledge, Vijnanam, Prajnanam, Brahma. So 2000 years have taken. I'm talking about Vedic time. 2000 years, and we are not interested whether it is 1500 BC or 500 BC. Evolution came, and then people, rishis and jnanis came bountiful in Bharat. And simultaneously, those religions which do not accept these as gospel, because all we say is Veda says Satyam. Not Satyam means here you should not interpret as true. Satyam means eternal, everlasting, Jnanam, supreme bliss, Anantam, ever pervading, that is Brahmam. So the Veda says, I am taking it. Those people who take that Vedas to be gospels are Sanatanis. And some people did not accept these Vedas. I don't accept. So that came Charuvakas, Bauddha and Jain. So, and the important thing where Bauddha and Jains came is they did not totally, then what happened? While this civilization flourished and people focused more on self-contemplation and understanding the Supreme, it became tough. Then people went back again to rituals. Then there were Mandala Mishra and all those people totally focused on rituals. When it comes to rituals, it was kind of monotonous and you have to give all ahutis and oblations. Okay. So, Bauddhas were not for giving oblation using animals. So, they used that and then they formed a movement. And subsequently, Jains, they formed a movement. To them, Vedas are not gospels. Vedas are not pramana. If Vedas are not pramana, Upanishad will not be. So they just said it is entire thing is sunya. It's just a fake, lack of better term. So Vedas are non-existent. All is we are going through a phase. It's just a sunya. But that doesn't have footing. That time, to re-establish the Sanatana way of living, Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada came. But he could not totally move totally away from Buddha. So something he just tried. So in a way, some people called Adi Advaita to be Prachanna Bauddham. But I don't believe it. But that's one set people call, okay, this is another interpretation of Buddhism. Because what Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada, the great saint who created again, brought back Sanatana way of life, he just said the Brahma Satyam Jagat Maya. Brahman is only true. Others are all Maya. He didn't say it is Sunya. Whereas Bauddha say everything is Sunya. Non-existent. So he said we are all also non-existent. Only Brahman is existing. But the existence, what you see, what I see Bhargavi, what I see Vishnu, is on Laukikartha, Vyavaharika. It's just practically we are seeing, but in strict sense we are non-existing. Okay, why I am seeing Rachel, why I am seeing Matra, and why I am seeing Vasuki means it's just Laukikartham. It is just Vyavaharika. We are just seeing. But that's not the truth. It more or less, in a way, kind of resembling Buddhism. And then Jains said, okay, why I am suffering? Why Bhargavi is flourishing? It is because of karma. Jains believe in karma. Sanatana Dharma believes in karma. So they are trying, because that's how you can do, because the society was totally against Vedas and Sanatana Dharma. Somewhere you have to bring the masses into the fold. Then how do I worship? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So okay, Brahman is the truth. What kind of Brahman? That time some people were worshipping Durga in the forest, some people were worshipping Muruga, the Lord Kumara in hills. Some people were worshipping Indra in the paddy fields. Some people were worshipping Varuna in the ocean places. Then, okay, let's come to some reconcile everything. That is what Adi Shankara did. He made sure that Veda is Pramana. Vedo nityam adhiyatam tadanushtitam. Whatever is said in Veda, now there is no purpose, keep on questioning. Let's make some ground rule, bylaws. Let's create a bylaw. The bylaw for us is Vedo nityam adhiyatam. Let's take Vedas as pramanas and we follow Veda. Then Veda says Brahmam Satyam. What is Brahmam? I cannot see Brahmam. Then he said, let's take 6 idols or 6 deities and worship those 6 deities. Shanmata Stapakam. Vishnu, Shiva, Durga, Surya, Ganapatyam and Kaumara. Saivam, Vaishnavam, Saktam, Sauram, Kaumaram, Ganapatyam. Kaumara is Skanda, Murugan in Tamil. Kumara Devudu in Telugu. Kumara Swami, Telugu. Murugan, Tamil. Everything is same. Skanda or Subramanya, all same. So, Shiva, Saivism, Vishnu, Vaishnavism, Saktam, worshipping God. That is more prevalent now in West Bengal. Then Shauram in Orissa, but it's not prevalent. Shauram means Surya. Ganapatyam, prevalent everywhere, particularly in Maharashtra. Ganapati Pappa Moria, Mangalamurti Moria, Vigneshwara. And Lord Muruga, prevalent in Tamil Nadu. So he said, okay, let's reconcile, let's take Vedas, and he culled portions and he said, not only Vedas, when you pray, you have to also, it's very difficult, Vedas cannot be for everybody. So he wrote several bhakti texts in praise of Puri Jagannath, in praise of Shiva, Lingashtakam, in praise of Krishna, Krishnashtakam, in praise of Puri Jagannath, Krishnashtakam, in praise of Govinda, Krishna, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudamate. Nahi, Dukranch Karane. Don't simply be rote learning. Nahi Rakshati, Dukranch. Dukranch is grammatical text. Don't simply memorize. It's not going to help. Pray to God with purity. That is bhakti. Right? So, the Adi Shankara structured and he revitalized Sanatana Dharma, establishing Veda as a pramana, and then he also created, developed and wrote new texts based on Upanishads. Brahma Sutras are based on Vedas and Upanishads. He wrote elaborate text and explanation of those aphorisms. That is known as Brahma Sutra, and the explanation is known as Bhashya. And then he picked these 10 Upanishads. Isha, Kena, Kata, Prashna, Manduka, Mundaka, Aitreya, Taitiriya, Chandokya, Aranyakam. And then he made elaborate text on Upanishads. He wrote an explanatory text to Brahma Sutra, in other words Veda, although it's not Veda, but the gist of Veda, I take it like that. Then Upanishad, then Gita. That is Prasthanatrayam. Prasthana means journey. So, if you need to be in Sanatana Dharma, your purpose is to learn Veda and understand the true meaning of the supreme through Brahma Sutra compiled by Veda Vyasa using my elaboratory text. That elaboratory text is based on telling there is no difference between supreme and you. Until you realize, you have to keep on being in the journey. Jnanat eva mukti. So that there's no difference. Tattvamasi, aham brahmasmi, prajnanam brahma, aham atma brahma. I am atma brahma. That is Mundaka Upanishad. Okay. Aitreya is prajnanam brahma, I am atma brahma, tattvamasi. Then aham brahmasmi. 4 Upanishads. So he explained it 10 Upanishads. Upanishad Bhashyam, Dashopanishad, or principal Upanishad. Veda are the aphorisms of Brahma compiled by Vyasa Muni, Brahma Sutra. And then Gita. Song celestial, Gita Bhashyam. And then it is not for everybody. These are again not for everybody. So he wrote his own bhakti poems. At least now you do this, so you get into a structured way of living. So Vedas now went into Upanishad, and Upanishad juice is all given by Itihasas and Puranas and later days. One Mutt, Kanchi Mutt says Shankara Bhagavad Pada was born somewhere 2000 years back. Whereas Sringeri Mutt says he was born around 7th century CE. Whatever it is. We have come all the way from yonder. As I told you, we are not interested in dating Vedas or those things. That's not the thing. Understanding is more important. The purpose is to know knowledge. So, that long we have come up to close to us. Compared to Vedic time, the time of Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada or Madhvacharya or Ramanujacharya is relatively, in the vast spans of time, it's relatively less. So, Vedic journey starts to Upanishad, and now we are coming into Bhakti period. Veda ad, Oupnek'hat iter. The journey from Vedas to Upanishad, knowledge. Refined. People by now have refined. So many preceptors came and they have given their lives to elucidate what is the true nature of Brahmam. What's the text you should take? But then how do you reach on a daily basis? You just follow what the preceptors did. Do puja, pray. But above all, be good to the society. Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That knowledge still flows. It's flowed in Sapta Sindhu, Saraswati, Yamuna, Ganges, Brahmaputra. Now it's flowing through Mississippi and Missouri and so on and so forth. Okay. Mangalani Santu.